haven't practiced before, just that reminder then, you know, yoga's got roots in the Indian culture, it's got roots in philosophy and spirituality, religion, Hinduism, Buddhism as well. Will that work? Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay, so we'll just go that side for now. Yeah. But despite that, it's ultimately what you want it to be. So if what brings you here, if the calling to yoga has been to stretch your body, or if it's been for greater mobility, and you notice my mobility is limited today in that right knee, or maybe it's strength, greater strength in the body, that's fine. It doesn't have to be anything else other than that, you know. Make it your practice, and that's what we mean. When we talk about listening to the body and making it our own practice, that's what we mean by that. Paying attention to the signals of the body, being honest with ourselves as well, being able to observe those limitations and not let that affect me, and not let my ego govern me there and, oh, but I'm a yoga teacher, I can't bend my right leg properly. Oh no, perhaps I should just leave the room, I can't teach you all because you'll think I'm a fraud. No, that's the ego, it's the inner child, isn't it? It's nothing, that's an obstacle today and I'm going to need to work around that as best I can, that's all. And that might be on an individual practice, it might be something that you experience over many years, that one day kind of releases and you can overcome that obstacle, or maybe you spend forever circumnavigating it and quite intelligently, you know, moving your body in a way and your breath in a way that you know, allows for the fact that you've got a limitation somewhere or an obstacle somewhere, yeah? So that could be something like an injury or an ailment, or it can be your body type, the shape of your body, your anatomy, your physiology. It could be something that's deeper than that, and it could be psychological or emotional, an obstacle there that arises for you when you practice, when you move, when you breathe. We know that pranayama, which is breath control and breath work, can bring up stuff, especially if we breathe via the mouth. A lot of the time we take deep breaths in and out of the mouth. It's got a deep root in our core, isn't it? And it brings up emotion for us. So people that do breath work, they play on that, they use that, and they draw from that to kind of pull those walls down and expose what's behind it. But we won't do that. But you might find that certain aspects of your practice do bring that up, you know, start to let the floodgates down, and that's okay as well. Just embrace that, all right? Or work around it if you don't want to embrace it, if it doesn't feel right. I'll try to give options where I can in terms of the positions that I offer. Monday, so I'm here 3 times a week normally when I'm not gallivanting. Monday tends to be our day to challenge ourselves a little bit more, or I might expose you to something new that we haven't had in our practice yet, because we're working, generally, we've got people coming and going, but generally the dynamic stays more or less the same. So as a group, we've got a kind of dialogue that's going on. And this happens, this is something I try to refer back to quite a lot so that everyone's aware of this fact and this quite beautiful observation, in that me being the kind of middleman between all of these little pockets of practitioners of yoga, there's a kind of ongoing dialogue. And because I teach or try to lead the practice intuitively, sort of based off of the energy in the room loosely, it kind of means that each practice that I do has a kind of knock-on effect from one to the next, and the way that we'll practice today will affect the practices that I do tomorrow. There will be certain aspects of today's practice normally that will sort of translate into tomorrow's practice, so the people with whom I practice tomorrow will benefit from that, or not, it depends how you look at it. and it kind of knocks on week to week, and there's this ongoing dialogue, and together we're accruing experience, if you like, and we're developing and we're moving through that, along that path together, even though we're at different points on the path independently, collectively as well as a group, you know, we're moving along as well, and that's quite a beautiful thing. And so bearing that in mind for our practice, and knowing that we are obviously independently at different levels or at different places, and don't think about levels, you don't get lost with that word in terms of, oh, he's advanced, she's advanced, I'm not, or whatever. It's more to do with, you know, that point on that path. Because we're all at different points on that path, try to remind yourself that we are together as well. We're here as a collective, and that we've got this beautiful little dialogue that with time, whether we're new today or whether we've been here, you know, week in, week out since the beginning, since the centre opened, if you like, you know, we're all together and slowly ascending and developing, ascending or moving forwards and developing in our own way and as a group as well. So that's something hopefully that you can find a little bit of solace and sanctuary in that knowledge, all right? Have we got questions or concerns? No? I did start off by talking about options. Options are different variations of positions. So I might offer a position, we might take a side plank at some point, and we might think, oh, this is too much for the wrist, too much for the elbow, and it's very demanding on the body. That's where we listen to the body. It's not about, I'm less yoga if I do something other than that, or if I don't keep up, then I'm not good enough. It's listening to the body, finding an alternative position that suits. That's all, bringing the knee down. Or maybe even this is too much on the shoulder and the wrist. So I might just take an all fours position and work at, rotating and twisting in the all fours position. So I'll try to give options, variations of that, but I do often forget the options as well. So for those of you that think, I need a different option here, try to discover that. That's ultimately the underlying point. I think that really we all need to acknowledge is discovery of the body, discovery of the self, so that we can then ironically be free of it later on. All right? I won't ramble on anymore. Are we all good? Have we got questions? Okay, let's start standing up at the front of the mat today. There we are. So bringing the hands to heart centre. And as always, arriving in the body, by which we mean observing the body, bring our awareness to it. Maybe there are areas already highlighting themselves that feel particularly charged with energy. Or perhaps ailments, injuries, conditions that our attention is drawn to. So just observing quietly, honestly. And then shifting the awareness to the breath. Taking a deep inward breath, expanding tummy, expanding rib cage. Allowing the heart to really lift as we inhale, and as we exhale, constricting, shrinking. Pulling the tummy in, pushing out that last bit of breath. And one last shift of the awareness to the mind and the movement of thought, those little fluctuations, a little dance. Just taking a step back and returning to that state as a quiet observer. So not looking for an answer or a conclusion to those thoughts, not being led astray. Just gently watching. On the next outward breath, releasing the hands down by the side. The eyes gently flicker open if they're closed, and as we inhale, reach wide and higher, find length. As we exhale, release the hands, a gentle bend in the knees for the forward fold, Uttanasana. Inward breath, halfway lift, flatten the back, start to straighten the legs slightly, push out through the tailbone. And as we exhale, just take a little bit of a stretch in the hamstrings. It doesn't feel too excessive this early on in our practice. Inhalation, halfway lift, flatten the back, look forwards. And exhalation, back down again. Option to cradle the elbows here and use the weight of the torso to start to pull on the lower back slightly. Maybe even sway forwards and backwards between heel and toe as we start to introduce a little bit more of a deeper stretch to the backs of the legs. Continue that wholesome breath, that balanced breathing. Samavriti. If we are bound, releasing the hands to the shins here and halfway lifting once more. With the exhalation, ground the palms, step back to a high plank. Straight away we'll lower knees, chest, chin, or forehead, Chaturanga Dandasana. Pull the shoulders back, but don't push with the hands. Just look forwards on an inward breath. Exhalation, bow the head. Inhalation, a little push with the hands. Use the lower back, rise slightly higher. Outward breath, back down we go. Inhale much higher, a big push. Lift the chin, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, take a bow, tuck the toes, get ready for upward facing dog. So we'll wave through the body, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And round off the spine and tuck the tailbone and chin as we rock the weight back across the knees, Baddhamanasana to Majjhariasana, the cat position. The hands slide back slightly and then we return shoulders above the wrists. That's an outward breath here. On the inhalation, drop the spine, lift up and out through the crown of the head and the tailbone. Exhalation, round off again. Inhale, drop the spine again, Vittalasana. Exhalation, Majjhariasana. As we come back through that neutral position, just walk the hands about 6 inches forwards, tuck the toes, lift the knees, push back first if it's available, then up to Adho Mukha Svanasana. We'll have a little walk here, again, just to stretch out the backs of the legs. Try to push the upper body towards the rear of the mat. Really pushing up and out through the tailbone, through the bottom here as well. And taking our walk towards the front of the mat. We'll arrive together. Halfway lift, flatten the back. Look forwards, hands to the shins. Exhale, take a bow. Uttanasana, the forward fold. We'll slowly rise on the inward breath. Stack the vertebrae. Really shrug the shoulders, tuck the chin until the last moment. Then we can roll them back. Arms can move wide and high. Reach up. Maybe push the pelvis slightly forwards here. So almost tuck the tailbone. Really lengthen, expand the tummy. Exhalation, hands release towards the earth. We'll step the left leg back. Anjaneyasana, a low lunge on the left side. Just drop that knee, untuck the toes. Choose to stay low on the fingertips, but lengthen through the spine. Lift the chin on the inward breath. Or rise and reach. Don't wait for my cue. Hands towards the sky. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Inhale, lengthen, rise slightly. Exhale, release the hands. Frame the front foot, Ardha Hanumanasana. The half split, so straighten the leg and the spine on the inward breath. On the outward breath, fold over the leg if it's available. For 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Shift the weight forwards. Return to the lunge. Arms move wide and high. Big deep breath. Inhale. Exhale, release the hands, frame the foot. Get ready for the high plank. So tuck the toe, lift the knee, step back to the high plank, Phalakasana. Lower with control, elbows nearly but not completely tucked. Wave through the body, Urdhva. And Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's take that walk again. Continue to revive the hips, the lower back, the hamstrings. We're just bending one knee at a time. Wiggling the bottom left to right, right to left. In this down dog variation as we move slowly towards the front of the mat again together. Let's walk underneath the body, maybe tiptoes or flat-footed, halfway lift, fingertips to the earth or maybe hands to the shins. Flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise and reach, arms wide and high. Chin lifts last. Along with the arms. Exhalation, let the arms dive down nice and wide. This time as we ground the palms, step the right leg back, drop that right knee, untuck the toes. Try and keep left knee above left ankle. Choose to stay low. Maybe come onto the fingertips and lengthen the spine or sweep the arms up towards the sky. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, the half split here. Wave the arms down. Rock the weight back. Straighten the spine and the leg. And on the outward breath, take a fold. For 5. For 4. For 3. For 2. And for 1, shifting the weight forwards, return to Anjaneyasana. Sweep the arms up, big inward breath. As soon as those palms connect and we arrive, then inhale, lengthen, exhale, release the hands. We're working towards high plank, Phalakasana, step back. And lower Chaturanga, slow and steady with control. Wave through the body. Urdhva. And Adho Mukha Svanasana. And take a hop, step or jump towards the front of the mat. Halfway lift. Ardha. Flatten the back. And fold. Slowly rising, same as before. Almost uncoiling. Then bringing the arms wide and high, reach up. Exhalation, hands to heart center. Samasthiti. Soften as opposed to activate the body here. So stand tall through the spine, but release the kneecaps, unclench the quads, release that tension from the shoulders, just connecting and closing that energy circuit with the hands. And a few deep cycles of balanced breath. Sama is balanced or equal, but also means still in this context, and sthiti is to stand or be upright. As it's commonly associated with the mountain position, Tadasana, but they're two very different positions. Tadasana is where we activate the body and tense up. Samasthiti should be where we soften the body. The spine's still active and we're under compression otherwise with the weight of the torso, so we stand tall and long. But this is our standing Shavasana, where we take stillness very seriously as that foundation for us to draw the awareness in, back to the breath, to that subtle body of prana. On the next exhalation, releasing the hands down by the side. And as we inhale, reaching up, find length, tuck the tailbone here. Really expand. But as we soften, turn to the right side. So if you're a little bit militant, you can stamp your foot if you wish. A little 90-degree turn. Turning to the right, just as I've done. There we are, at the top of the mat. Good. As we exhale, begin to lean towards the left side. And then inhale into the stretch, so expand the ribs on the right side. Almost push into the right hip. Come back through the center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lean to the right, towards the rear of the mat. And then inhale, breathe into the left side. Expand the rib cage, push into the left hip. And as we exhale, soften, slowly move back to that central position. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, stepping our right foot towards the rear of the mat and opening the arms towards our extended Tadasana, our Uttita Tadasana. So right foot towards the rear, 5-pointed star. Really reach out through the arms. Activate here, spread the fingertips. Activate the quads, so we're pulling the kneecaps up. Nice, strong breath. 4, 3. 4, 2. And for 1, as we inhale, arms reach towards the sky, really lengthen. As we exhale, sink down, Utkatta Konasana. You want to bend the knees, tuck the tailbone. Don't force the depth here too early, too soon. That's it, or too much too soon. Good. Really spread the fingertips. 4, 3. Pull the heels in to 45. 4, 2. And for 1. Good. As we inhale, lengthen back to that 5-pointed star, but this time turning the right foot towards the rear of the mat, adjust the left heel and begin to reach for the triangle, Trikonasana. Go slow and gentle with the hamstrings on that right leg, hand towards the earth, pull the left shoulder back and push into the ball of that right foot, that rear foot. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lengthen, so really reach for that left hand. Exhale, release the arm, draw it down towards the tailbone, so towards the front of the mat. Then back and replace the right hand with it. We'll adjust right hand to the outside of the right foot and twist and turn that left foot very slightly to about 45 for Parsvottanasana, the pyramid. Come onto the fingertips, flatten the back, look forwards. We're trying to keep that front leg straight if it's available. As we exhale, take a bow. If it feels a little too intense, don't go too low. Maybe use blocks here or stay up. You can also narrow the stance if it feels too much. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Coming onto the ball of the foot as we slide the hands back. So we're lining up the heels of the palms with that front heel now and dropping the rear knee as we sweep the arms wide and high. Anjaneyasana, back to a lunge. So we should be in a lunge at the rear, facing the rear of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release the hands down inside the right foot, twist and turn to Skandasana. So we tuck the toes of that left foot and we're taking our Skanda. I'm going to go quite gentle with mine because I've got an injured right knee, as you know. Won't let me bend it too much because of inflammation. That's what happens when you get kicked in the leg. There we go. Good. So if you find you have similar, I'm just supporting my body weight, whereas normally I would sit down on that heel and bring my hands to heart center. Good. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's slowly rise up and over through the center, ground through that left foot, extend the right leg to Skandasana on the opposite side. There we are. So we're now left leg towards the front of the mat. Lovely. Not lost you all yet, have I? Good. Twist and turn, same as we did at the rear, but drop that right knee and untuck the toes this time. Sweep the arms up towards the sky. Inhale, lengthen. Anjaneyasana, now at the front of the mat. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Lengthen, rise slightly. As we exhale and fold, frame the front foot, tuck the toes of the rear foot, and start to straighten the front leg. We want to drop that rear heel towards 45. Our Parsvottanasana, our pyramid on this side. Exhale, take a bow over that front leg if it's available. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1. Shift the left hand to the inside of that left foot. Now if we're in a narrow stance and we're quite high up because the hamstrings on that front leg, it all feels a little too much. You can support the weight on the front shin or maybe hover the hand inside the leg, or if you have a block, you can use a block there. And we're taking the triangle. So once we ground here, sweep that right arm towards the sky. Trikonasana, there's of course an option. Some people like to place that left hand on the outside of the left foot as well. Find your variation, your version. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Slowly with control begin to rise. Be careful with that front leg towards the star. We'll adjust both feet momentarily. Open the heart space, lift the chin very slightly. Activate the legs, activate the arms. Really reach out and point out through the fingertips. Then as we inhale, reach towards the sky. We'll go back to the goddess or the Utkatta Konasana, the fierce angle. So as we exhale, pull the arms down, start to sink the tailbone, tuck it. Pull the heels in, 45, good. Hopefully we'll sink a little deeper this time. For 3, heart space open. For 2, and for 1. Return, lengthen through the arms and the legs back to our star. And take the arms towards the sky, inward breath. Twist and turn that rear foot, then the front, and step towards the front of the mat, hands to heart center. Samastiti. Couple of cycles of breath here. On the exhalation, releasing the hands. And as we inhale, reach up, big deep breath. Let the head drop back if it's available. For 3, for 2, and for 1. As we soften slightly, we'll take that turn. I'm going to show you my back this time, towards the left side of the mat. And we're still at the top. As we exhale, start to bend towards the front of the mat, pushing into the left hip. Inhalation, expand through that left side. And exhalation, slowly come back up through the center. Lengthen again. Exhalation towards the rear of the mat, that crescent shape with the upper body. And as we inhale, expand through the right side. Push into the right hip. And soften back up. Inhalation, reach and expand here. Exhalation, step that left leg towards the rear of the mat. Find your star, nice long legs. Don't have to go too wide here. Really reach out through the arms. Activate the legs, tense the quads up. And as we inhale, reach the arms towards the sky. Return to Goddess. Exhalation, pull the hands down and sink, tuck the tailbone. Eventually work towards having thighs and arms all parallel with the earth. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, rise, straighten the legs, reach the arms towards the sky, then draw them wide towards our star again. And twist and turn, this time the left foot towards the rear of the mat, right foot to 90 degrees. Start to reach towards Trikonasana, the triangle, left hand towards the earth. Pull the right shoulder back. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drawing the right hand towards the tailbone, so that big half circle down and towards the earth to replace the left hand. Left hand sweeps out and around towards the outside of the left foot. Inhale, halfway lift, flatten the back. Adjust that rear foot to 45. Exhale, take a fold. Parsvottanasana. If that front leg's relatively straight, we're not talking about locking the knee joint here, we don't need to do that, but just if it's fairly straight, then try to soften the quads, let the kneecap go, don't tense it up here, assuming you're supporting the body weight, the upper body weight with the hands. Inhale, halfway lift, flatten the back, look forwards. The hands slide back towards the front foot, so we line all the heels up there. Twist and turn on the ball of the rear foot. Drop the rear knee, sweep the weight forwards, untuck the toe. Anjaneyasana, reach the arms towards the sky. For 3. For 2. And for 1. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release the hands inside the left foot. Begin to twist and turn for Skandasana. So we'll support the weight on that rear foot. And again, take it on the ball of the foot, or maybe bring the sole to the earth, depending on what's available. I want to try and keep the spine long here and not round off too much. And we're lengthening down that kind of medial side of the right leg. For 3, 2, and 1. Start to shift the weight, but stay low, up and over towards the front of the mat and head towards your Skandasana. On the opposite side. Again, on my dodgy knee, I'll keep myself up here. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's twist and turn back towards the front, frame that front foot with the hands, drop the rear knee, untuck the toes. Anjaneyasana, the low lunge. Sweep the arms towards the sky. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, let the arms dive down to frame that front foot. Again, we'll tuck the toes, lift the rear knee, drop that heel towards 45 as we sink the weight, the tailbone back into our pyramid. And again, halfway lift here, look forwards, inward breath. Outward breath, take a bow over that front leg. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, rise. Slide the right hand to the inside if that's where you're heading, your option, your variation, or maybe outside of the right foot, and sweep the left arm towards the sky. Trikonasana. Pull that left shoulder back. We're almost pushing the right shoulder towards the left side. We want that supine twist to help us open the heart towards the left of the mat. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Slow and steady with control here. As we rise, adjust that right foot back to our star. Really reach out, activate the legs, activate the arms. Nice tall spine. Tuck the tailbone slightly. Then inhale, arms reach higher towards the sky. Prepare for Utthita Konasana. Pull the heels into 45 and start to drop. Lead with the elbows there. Arms still vertical. Really reaching out through the hands, through the fingertips. Tucking the tailbone. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straightening arms and legs. Back to Utthita Tadasana. Big deep breath there. Activate. By which we mean tensing the muscles up here. Then as we inhale, arms reach towards the sky. Find that prayer position. Adjust the rear heel to 90. Turn that front foot to point towards the front and take a step. Bring the hands down to heart center, back to heart center. Saramastiti. Soften the legs and shoulders when we arrive here. So stand tall, but let that bubble that's the awareness shrink back in towards the breath. Just a few deep cycles of breath here. For 3. For 2. And for 1. Releasing the hands down by the side on the outward breath. Inhale, reaching up. A gentle back bend here. So just push the hips slightly in front of the ankles. And as we exhale, hands down through heart center, ground the palms. Take a bounce higher to low or straight to the low plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Wave through the body, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a moment of stillness in the downward facing dog here. Let the heels be heavy. Let the crown of the head work its way a little closer to the earth. Push up and out through the tailbone. For 3. For 2. And for 1. Turning that left foot to about 45, stepping the right foot underneath the body towards the front. Virabhadra on the right side, Warrior 1, sweep the arms up towards the sky. Inhale, rise a little higher than we need to. Exhale, sink down into that front leg. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Turn to 10 o'clock. Rise slightly. Release the hands. Search to interlace the fingers behind the tailbone. Tuck the chin to help facilitate that. Then roll the shoulders back. Open the heart and sink on the outward breath. And fold. Crown of the head towards the earth. Option, depending on how the hip and the groin feel here, to come onto the ball of that rear foot as well. But don't force the shoulders if they feel a little tense here. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Bringing the hands back towards the tailbone before we release. Then releasing left hand towards the earth, ball of the rear foot if we weren't there before. Sweep the right arm towards the sky, Parivrutta Ashwa Sanchalanasana. Activate that rear leg, sink into the front leg, pull the right shoulder back. On the inward breath, rise a little higher. On the outward breath, frame the foot and step back to a high plank. Lower the hips first for this one. Shift the weight forward slightly across the toes, then bring knees and the pelvis or the groin down towards the earth. Lift the chin as the arms bend, wave down. Then tuck the toes and work in reverse here. Wave through the body. Urdhva and Adho Mukha Svanasana. We'll immediately head to Warrior One on the left side this time. So turn that right foot to 45. Step left leg under towards the front, but offset it off of that central line. Sweep the arms up. And as we exhale, take that bind. We're pushing the right hip forwards. And we're facing the front here. Inhale, rise to 2 o'clock. Release the hands on the outward breath. Search for the bind, tuck the chin. Roll the shoulders back. And sink. Then fold. Take your version, your variation here. For 3. Remember to breathe. For 2. And for 1. Bringing the hands back towards the tailbone before we release. Then it's right hand towards the earth, ball of the rear foot, sweep that left hand towards the sky. Vardhivrata, push the earth away here as well, don't collapse into that right shoulder. Ashwasanchalanasana, activate the rear leg. Twist through the spine, inhale, reach. Exhale, release the hand, frame the foot, step back to the high plank. Same as before, shift the weight forwards and bring the knees, the groin, and then the upper body down towards the earth, then reverse it. So we tuck and wave, back up, and back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Get ready for a hop, a step, a jump, maybe a little walk to the front, halfway lift. Flatten the back. And exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Hasta Padangushtasana. Remember what I said, whenever it sounds like pasta, just remember that it's a hand to a big toe somewhere. So hasta is the hand, pada is the foot, angushta, so I'm led to believe, means big toe. It's quite a long word for big toe. So let's take a bind there on that right side. As we stand up, slowly rise, allow the back to start to round off slightly to help with balance. Bend the left knee, let the right knee work its way outside the arm. And then hands heart center on the hip or on a wall or holding onto your neighbour. Maybe not the last one, because that would be dominoes then, won't it? Utthita is to extend. So if it's available, let's extend that leg. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, start to bend the knee again. Bring it back towards the body and then release for Warrior 3. So we start to transition. Hands can be at heart center initially. Again, a slight bend in that left leg. Once we arrive, then we can start to straighten that left leg up and maybe extend the arms out as well. Holding here for 5 minutes now. 4, 3, 4, 2. And on 1, make it a slow, steady return. Hands to heart, foot underneath the body, then stand. Samastiti, soften, and bring the awareness to the breath. Deep cycles. On the outward breath, hands release down by the side. On the inward breath, reach wide and high. Let the head drop back here, tuck the tailbone slightly. Exhalation, dive the arms down, Uttanasana. Take a bind this time. Maybe hug around the legs if that's in your practice, if you like to do that. If it's a nice comforting feeling to help you pull in. Or maybe take the ankles, or perhaps Upaya Padangushtasana, both big toes, and pull in. for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Slowly rise to a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, or half forward fold. And as we exhale and take a slight bow here, your Hasta Padangusthasana on the opposite side, left leg. Slowly start that little bend in the right knee. So if the leg is slightly locked or if it's much straighter, bend it slightly. Bend that left arm and left knee, but the knee on the outside of the left arm as we start to rise. Really push into the sole of the right foot, the heel, the ball of the foot. And you might find this is enough, or that you're here somewhere. That's fine as well. It's the same journey, the same path. We're all at different points. That's all. Start to extend. Uthit means to lengthen or extend. Find your drishti as well. We talk about that a lot in yoga, your focal point. And it's said that that's a heavy focus to a visual focal point, but really it implies something a little deeper. Because once we find that, we almost use the periphery then, don't we, to sense. I think it's proprioceptive awareness. I might not be pronouncing that right. Where we sense of where we are in space and time, so we kind of help to balance ourselves. Let's gently bring the foot back underneath the body for Warrior 3. Start to transition. Extend the arms. So really holding certain positions long enough and employing our drishti, we start to, the eyes become a little redundant and we look beyond them, don't we? We daydream beyond the eyes. Let's slowly transition, hands back to heart center, bring the foot underneath, a steady return. Samastiti, soften. Just take a few cycles of breath here. Nice deep inward breath, expand the tummy, expand the rib cage. And as we exhale, release the hands down by the side, palms face forwards, really reach out through the fingertips, roll the shoulders back slightly, tuck the tailbone, start to tense up the glutes and the quads, tense the upper arm as well, the lats and the triceps, the deltoid, that entire region, Tadasana. Maybe employ an oceanic breath as well, constrict the back of the throat, it builds fire in the body, that breath. So we're really activating Manipur chakra as well, our solar plexus, like that little foil windmill I keep describing to you all. It starts to spin with that hot air that we constrict. Obviously it creates friction at the back of the throat. It narrows the pathway so the air warms up, stokes that fire internally. It's a loud, audible breath, nasal breath, in and out through the nose. In the next exhalation, beginning to soften again, unclench those tense muscles, start to slouch and shrug the shoulders, almost tuck the chin, begin to bend the knees, fingertips are going to reach for the earth as we start to descend. We head towards Utkatasana, the chair or the fierce pose. So as the fingertips touch, or if they get fairly close, sweep the arms towards the sky. Make sure we don't stick the bottom out here. Shift the weight very slightly forwards for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lengthen, reach with the arms a touch. Exhale, arms dive wide down towards the earth. Take your bounce or step back to low plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. A wave through the body. Urdhva, Adho, downward face. And your hop, step or jump through to your Navasana. Now you can crawl there as well, or if you're practicing your jump through, or if you're not sure what that means, just bring one foot as far as possible towards the opposite hand, so right towards left, left towards right through a cross-legged seated position, and then rock back and get the legs out in front. That's one way to do it. If my knee allows, I'll show you the jump through. So we bend the knees, look forwards, and the knee didn't quite like it, but we got there. And we go out in front. Let me telling you to listen to your bodies and then forcing mine anyway. Not leading by example. 4, 3. 4, 2. Nice and tall spine. Option to extend the legs, but we can be on the forearms as well. We can be on the hands. Just take a version that suits the body. And for 1. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. Start to slowly round off the spine, tuck the chin, and release towards the ground. Maybe even tuck the shoulder blades under the body here. For Supta Baddha Konasana, a reclined bound angle. And we're slowing it down here, bringing it towards the earth as well, towards the ground. So perhaps bringing the awareness back to the breath, those deep cycles of breath. And choosing to stay as we are now, to embrace this opening position. Maybe even taking it a little further, taking the arms up towards the head and interlocking the fingers around behind the head, creating a similar shape with the arms and the elbows here to kind of open in the same way that we're opening the hips, opening the shoulders, opening the armpits, opening the chest region. Or perhaps, if we feel like we're ready for Shavasana, for that stillness to dissolve into the earth, then bringing the hands down underneath the thighs and use the strength in the forearms and the arms, pushing the elbows into the ground to help close the knees, to help close the legs, close the hips. Gently, carefully. And then taking any last movements, maybe a little rock side to side of the knees, or maybe even a happy baby, or a hug of the knees in towards the abdomen. And then extending the arms and legs length and width of the mat, or maybe even wider if that feels appropriate for our final relaxation, our Shavasana. As always, we're quite limited for time in these short practices. So emptying the breath out together, and then taking a deep inward breath, really expanding the tummy and the rib cage for 4, 3, 2, 1, and out for 4, 3, 2, 1, and in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. If we're still in our bound angle, then using the arms to help the knees closed here, slowly, steadily, mindful of the hips, mindful of the lower back. And then taking gentle movement in the hands and the feet, fingers, toes, ankles, wrists. Beginning to point the toes and lengthen through the legs. Take the arms over the head, reach through the body. From fingertip to tip of the toes. Maybe another deep breath there as well. as we exhale and bring the arms back, then very slowly, mindful of the lower back, bring the knees up and in. We'll take a hug around the shins, pull everything in towards the abdomen, towards the chest. Maybe even a little rock side to side. And then we can choose to turn softly through one side. And we might spend time there if we were at home practicing. Or we can gently rock forwards up into our seated position when we're ready. And we bring the hands to heart center as we close with our morning mantra today. Aum Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, Karamatye Saraswati. Karamuletu Govinda, Prapate Karadashanam. Om Shanti.